The British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good morning. This is Eden Chipperfield, and welcome to BCIT's The Crow. And here are your headlines for 10 a.m. There's 2 in hospital and over 60 residents displaced after a fire broke out at the Silverland Seniors Apartment Complex in Lynn Valley on Saturday. North Vancouver Fire Chief Mike Dank says it was a community effort to put out the flames, including support from West Vancouver fire crews who came to assist. Chief Dank says that the cause of the fire is still unknown and under investigation. The displaced residents have been placed in temporary accommodations. RCMP were called out near the township of Onaway in Alberta on Saturday morning after a 56-year-old Edmonton man is suffering fatal injuries following a jump from a plane. Producer Matea Hukalak has more details on this incident.
Thank you. The man is a skydiving instructor, RCMP Corporal Troy Sevinkov, say that the death appears to be accidental, but an investigation will occur alongside the chief medical examiner in the future. We are also chasing other stories today, including how iPads are affecting child development, what we can expect for the BC wildfire season coming up, and more on a food charity. Back to you.
Thank you, Matea. In more national news, Ontario's Municipal Affairs and Housing Minister Rob Fleck is introducing legislation to speed up the construction of homes within the province. At this time, the province is not on track to build the proposed goal of 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years. Housing Minister Fleck says he's focused on the next critical 12 to 24 months timeline.
Well, we've got some pretty strong headwinds. It's a goal, but frankly, I'm focused more on, and our team is focused on the next 12 to 24 months, because if it stays the way it is now, we'll never get there. We have to make immediate changes.
The new legislation would reduce the number of studies that municipalities can require for new developments, including the acceleration of minor variances, standardized and streamlined fees that housing developers must pay for house-enabling infrastructure, including water and sewer lines. U.S. President Donald Trump begins his tour of the Middle East today, starting in Saudi Arabia, then Qatar, and then the United Arab Emirates. He also plans on visiting Israel and Iran during his trip to address pressing regional concerns. President Trump received a gift of a luxury Boeing 747-8 jump jet from the royal family of Qatar, in what may be the most valuable gift ever to extend to the United States from a foreign nation's government. Trump commented on the generosity of the gift.
And I think it was a gesture because of the fact that we have helped and continue to, we will continue to, all of those countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and others, we keep them safe. If it wasn't for us, they probably wouldn't exist right now. And I think this was just a gesture of good faith.
The mother of hostage Eden Alexander, the last living American-Israeli hostage in Gaza, is preparing to make her way to Israel as Hamas plans to release her son. The militant group says the release of Alexander is part of a goodwill gesture for Donald Trump's administration. ABC's Joanna Miller has more.
We're not getting all of the Americans out. Hamas is still holding 4 bodies of Americans, but we do understand that there's even some talk still about getting those bodies out.
There has been no new reported incidents of firing along the Pakistan and India militarized region that separates the two countries. It is the first time in recent days that the two nations have not fired at one another. 2 military officials from the two nations plan on meeting later today to assess a ceasefire. President Trump spoke to ABC News, saying that the ceasefire deal was already completed.
We stopped a nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war.
In entertainment news, opening statements have begun in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, who is facing sex trafficking charges in New York. A jury composed of 12 regular jurors and 6 alternatives.
Stay tuned for more on
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Hello, I'm Caleb Templeton, and here are your 10-10 sports headlines. Starting off in hockey, where the NHL had 2 games on the slate last night, the Florida Panthers defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs 2-0 to even up the series 2-2. Florida goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky recorded his 5th career playoff shutout in the victory. Game 5 of the series will take place in Toronto on Wednesday. Continuing in hockey, the Dallas Stars defeated the Winnipeg Jets by a score of 5-2 last night. Dallas forward Mikko Rantanen had a goal and 2 assists in the win. He now leads the league in points and goals throughout the playoffs. With the victory, Dallas now takes a 2-1 series lead over the President Trophy-winning Jets. The series will continue in Dallas for Game 4 of the best-of-7 series. Now in local sports, the Vancouver Whitecaps tied the Los Angeles Football Club 2-2 last night in Vancouver. After being down 2-0 before the 20th minute, Vancouver rallied back by getting 2 goals from American forward Brian White. With the 2-goal performance, White is now tied with 4 other players for the MLS League lead in goals. Vancouver now has a record of 8-1-3 after the tie, still remaining atop the MLS standings. Continuing in local sports, the Vancouver Canadians lost to the Spokane Indians by a score of 4-3. Vancouver now has a record of 15-18 after the loss. The Canadians' next game takes place in Everett as they take on the Aqua Sox at home. Now off to basketball, where the NBA had 2 playoff games take place yesterday. The Oklahoma City Thunder defeated the Denver Nuggets by a score of 92-87 to even up the series 2-2. Thunder guard and NBA MVP frontrunner Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led the Thunder in scoring with 25 points. The number 1 seed Thunder will host the number 4 seed Nuggets in Game 5 on Tuesday. Continuing in basketball, the Indiana Pacers defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 129-109 last night. Indiana had 3 players score 20-plus points in the victory, and Cavaliers all-star guard Donovan Mitchell is set to have an MRI on the ankle he injured during the loss. With the loss, the number 1 seed Cavs are now on the verge of being eliminated from the playoffs as the Pacers take the 3-1 series lead. Game 5 of the series will be in Cleveland on Tuesday. Now in baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays defeated the Seattle Mariners by a score of 9-1. The win resulted in Toronto sweeping Seattle in their 3-game Pacific Northwest road trip. Toronto is now at an even record of 20-20 and sitting in 3rd place in the American League East Division. Toronto will now head home and host their in-division rival Tampa Bay Rays in a 3-game series. Also in baseball, the Philadelphia Phillies beat the Cleveland Guardians 3-0. The Los Angeles Dodgers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 8-1, and the New York Mets beat the Chicago Cubs 6-2. The Phillies, Dodgers, and Mets are currently the top 3 teams in MLB standings, with New York leading the way at a record of 26-15. In football news, the NFL announced the first game that will take place to kick off the 2025 NFL campaign. The Philadelphia Eagles will host their arch-rival Dallas Cowboys to open up the campaign. Philadelphia are the reigning Super Bowl champions, whereas Dallas is coming off a disappointing 7-10 season where they missed the playoffs. Now off to soccer. FC Barcelona defeated Real Madrid 4-3. French forward Kylian Mbappe scored all 3 goals for Real Madrid, while Brazilian forward Rafinha scored 2 of Barcelona's 4 goals. With the win, FC Barcelona now has the best shot to win the La Liga. Continuing in soccer, the Brazilian national team has announced their new head coach signing. Brazil is signing head coach Carlo Ancelotti to a 1-year deal just before the team takes part in the 2026 World Cup. Ancelotti is currently the head coach of Real Madrid in Spain at the club level. That has been your 10-10 Sports Headlines. Please join again at 11:40 for more sports news.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.